Hey guys, how are ya? I was going to do a Facebook Live, but then I thought I didn't really announce that I was going to do a Facebook Live, and I hate to just jump on without announcing it because not everybody's ready. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick little tutorial. I had promised you that in preparation for the Easter egg tree class, um, I'm not even sure what date that is, what date that's coming up. Let me see. I know it's later this month at some point. Um, I needed to show you guys how to, I'm not even sure really how to pronounce it, decoupage. Is that how you pronounce that? Because we're not going to have time during the class to do that and make the tree. So I thought, let me go ahead and show you ahead of time how to do the eggs. And then I'm just trying to find the date when that is now. And then when class time comes around, it is March 13th. Yeah, March 13th is the decoupage, if I'm saying that right. I don't know if you can even see this picture on here of the tree. There's the tree that we're going to be doing. It's not really a very good image because I'm holding up my phone. But if you go to the events calendar on March 13th, you can see, it's very bright in here, that's the tree that we're going to be making with the eggs. It looks a lot better when I'm not holding my phone up to the camera. I would love to do, took a sip of coffee there. I would love to do more Facebook Lives in the group, but I can never plan it. I can never say, okay, we're going to do a Facebook Live tonight. Everybody be ready. I just have too much going on, and I never can pinpoint a time, and I don't want to have to change or to cancel at the last minute. So let me show you how to do this quick. It's really a lot easier than you think. I need to get my scissors, though. One second. Because you can either tear your tissue paper into strips or you can cut it with scissors. It really doesn't matter. I've already done a couple. This is some tissue paper I actually got from the Dollar Tree. Kind of a fun little pattern. They have a ton of different patterns at the Dollar Tree. These I got from the Dollar Tree. This is sort of like a marbleized one. This is really super pretty. And there's like a pink. That's actually pink. It looks orange, but it's pink. And this is another like a gold. And this is a light pink. That looks like a tan here, but I don't know why the colors look so different. I got a bunch of, these were only $1, obviously they were from the Dollar Tree. Before I found these at Michael's, where they were a little bit more expensive than this. I kind of went crazy. I really like that, the floral, the black. And this is just like a white with some gold dots. This also came from the Dollar Tree. This is like a purple. It looks like purple too. These came from the Dollar Tree, these bigger ones. These I thought were pretty. And there's some floral. I mean, you can really find a lot. I know Walmart probably has them too. But initially when I started, I did these today. I just did a couple using this pattern. And, don't try to kill yourself. Look how pretty that came out. Don't try to kill yourself like matching it. Like you're not going to be able to take one solid piece of this. Well, I guess you could. I guess you could cut like one solid piece and wrap it around your egg and decoupage it that way. But I just took strips and they did overlap a bit, but you really can't tell. I mean, it came out nice. If you're fussy and you'd rather have one solid, in fact, I'm going to try that too. I'm going to try it without using the strips. I'm going to do one solid piece. And what you can do is, if you want to, the side that, overlaps, because you are going to have a side that's going to overlap a little bit. You can't help that as you're wrapping it and painting it with your Mod Podge. You're going to need this too. And a little paintbrush. And this is just a piece of parchment paper that I laid down. I preferred that over newspaper. I guess you can use newspaper or wax paper, aluminum foil, whatever. Totally forgot what I was going to say. But these are overlapping, like I said, and you know, they came out nice. But what I was going to say is if you decide to cut, and we're going to try it that way too, like one big piece, like a bigger piece, and wrap it around, the side that overlaps, you can make that facing, that can be the side that you glue onto your tree. Do you see what I mean? So the pretty side will be facing out, and the side that's overlapping and whatever, you can glue onto your tree so you don't see that. But again, this is overlapping on here, and you really can't even tell. The only thing I did, it's recommended that you use white eggs, but I couldn't find any white plastic Easter eggs. All they had was the colored ones. So what I was going to do was I was going to paint my colored eggs white, but that just ended up being a great big mess. And it was too much extra work. So these are just eggs from the Dollar Tree. Just when they're closed, you're going to see there's like a little lump. There's like a little thing sticking up here, but just that'll be the side that you can glue onto the tree, so you don't see that. I think it's just the hinge where the egg. These are supposed to have little treats inside for the kids and stuff. So, but that was going to be too much extra work. So what I found out is if you just put enough layers of your tissue paper on, these were blue eggs. So I chose a blue tissue paper. So it kind of worked. But if you do several layers, like 1 or 2 layers of your tissue paper, it'll cover it up completely and you won't see that there's a colored egg under there. So that solved that problem. But I'm going to use a different color right now, and I'm going to try, what do I want to use? I'm going to try that other method by just cutting one bigger piece. I really like this one, and wrapping it around instead of doing the strips. I'll show you both ways. I really want to watch American Idol tonight. The American Idol auditions start tonight, and I love that show. Oh, this is very pretty. And they give you a lot, so I bought 2 packages of those eggs, so I think that's going to be enough. So here, let me try it this way now. Instead of doing strips, I'm going to cut out, just going to kind of eyeball it and see how much I might need. And just cut around my egg. It's probably going to be way too much, but let's start there. And I'm probably going to have to do 2 layers. Let me just see here. I'm going to put this little knobby part that's on there facing up. And then I'm just going to see, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. I think I'm going to have to do the strips. It's easier to do strips than just do one big piece. That's not going to work. And I'll tell you why the strips are easier, okay? Don't be too concerned about getting, see, because if they're going to like fold over each other, and you don't want that. You want it to be smooth. So this is why you kind of need to do the strips. So again, don't be so concerned about having your pattern get messed up. It's really more about colors. So I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting some small strips. Like about that size. I don't know what that is. Maybe 3 inches by an inch, something like that. You can cut them, you can rip them. Doesn't really matter. You remember the paper mache that we used to do in school? That's kind of what this is like. But again, don't worry again about getting your patterns all lined up. Obviously, I messed all my pattern up. These were like little birdies, but they're all messed up now. I don't care. Just make sure that you have the darker side facing up, because there's a lighter side and there's a darker side. Okay, get your Mod Podge. And you're going to get your hands sticky, I'm telling you right now. They're going to be a sticky mess. And take your piece, and you're going to put some of this on the piece first. You can lay it down if you want. You can do it in your hand. Your hands are going to get messy, I'm telling you right now. This is not a clean job. Just put a layer of Mod Podge on your tissue paper. And then wherever you want to start, just start wrapping it around your egg. Whoops. It's ripping. The other paper didn't rip. I don't know why this paper is ripping. The other paper didn't rip at all. And then just flatten it out over your egg. I'm going to have to probably do 2 layers because you can kind of see the orange through there. I'll put that down for a minute. I actually did those other 2 eggs the entire time I was on the phone talking to my girlfriend. And just lay this one right next to it. Again, if they overlap a little bit, it's okay. Again, we're looking for colors here. See, this one's ripping a little bit. I don't know why that piece ripped. Sticky, sticky. I should have filmed me doing the other one. Those came out nice. I think that tissue paper is a little bit... Is this the tissue paper from... This is the tissue paper from Michaels, so it's a little bit thinner. It seems to be quite a bit thinner, actually. I think what I'm going to do, instead of tissue or Mod Podging it first, I think I'm going to lay it on my egg first. And then Mod Podge it. Let's try it that way. You can do it either or. You can put it on your hand and then lay it on the egg, or you can lay it on the egg first. I hope you guys can see this. It feels like I'm kind of far away. You can lay it on the egg first and then put your Mod Podge on. But I feel like I'm going to need 2 layers of this. Yeah, this tissue paper from Michaels is not good. It's very, very thin. Believe it or not, the more expensive tissue paper was not as good quality. Look at that, sticking to my... That was thicker. The Dollar Tree was thicker. Let's just keep going. I'm going to cover it first, and then I'm going to go ahead and do another layer. And I'm just, like I said, I'm laying the strip down, and I'm just painting it on. They're going to overlap. It's not, you see, it's coming off on my fingers. The other one didn't do that. I don't think I'm going to use this Michaels tissue paper. I really don't like how thin it is. And it's like falling apart. Can you believe that, ladies? Let's try a little bit. See, it's coming right off on my fingers. I don't like that. I don't think I'm going to use this Michaels paper. It's really, really thin. Look at that. I don't like that. I might have to scratch this Michael's paper and not use it, although it is very pretty. I just don't like the way it's coming off on my hands. Let's try one more. I'm going to try it in my hand this time, and then I'm going to press it on. Yeah, I'm picking it up, and the tissue's coming right off on my fingers, so I'm scratching this. I'm not happy with this Michael's paper. Do not buy your tissue paper from Michael's. It's not going to work. It's too thin. And that's a shame, because that's pretty paper. I'm going to go throw this away. I'll be right back. Sorry, ladies, I just want to wash some of that off my hands. It gets kind of messy. So I apologize for that. I didn't realize that Michael's tissue paper was so thin. Again, this is Dollar Tree, and it did not do that at all. So I'm just going to have to save this, all of this Michael's tissue paper that I bought for something else. I got a lot of it. I'll have to figure out something else to do with it. All right, so let's try a different pattern of the Dollar Tree. And I'll show you with that. All right, let's see. I'm going to try this gold. What a bummer. I mean, I figured all tissue paper was created equal. Apparently not. This is very pretty. I like this. Let's try this. I think I'm going to go with the orange egg again because it's sort of like an orangey gold. I'm just going to cut some strips again. Or you can rip them. It doesn't really matter. This is definitely thicker. I may give it a go again off camera with that Michael's tissue and see maybe if there's another way I can get it to work. But it, like I said, the minute it got that Mod Podge on it, it started to fall apart, literally in my hands. You saw that. And I really wanted to use this floral pattern here. Maybe if I doubled up two together, like two strips of tissue together, maybe that would help. So let's try this. And this is what I did before. I did it in my hands. You don't have to make your strips this big. You can make them smaller. Just put a nice layer on here. I've heard people use napkins too, patterned napkins for this. So let's go ahead and lay the strip on. Doesn't really matter which way you lay it. Oh, this is definitely thicker paper. Definitely. Just press it on there. This is pretty. Don't worry about getting it like totally flat. Again, I mean, when I put another layer on top, it's going to dry clear, so don't worry about that. Yeah, it's not coming off on my fingers at all. There's one piece, and it'll look nicer when it's dried, trust me. I have not tried the Walmart tissue paper, but again, if you go to the Dollar Tree near the gift bags and wrapping paper, they have a ton of different patterns. Just lay it right next to the other one. Oop. Doesn't matter if they overlap at all. This one's like starting to come off a little bit. Like I said, ladies, you're going to get your hands a little bit goopy. It just happens. They're going to get sticky. Got two little holes on my eggs here. I don't know what that is. Again, don't worry about overlapping them. You just want to make sure that all your egg is covered. This seems to be coming off on my fingers just a tiny bit, but not as bad as the other tissue paper that was really super thin. Another little light coating, just to make sure that it's stuck on there good. Sticky, sticky, sticky. I'm going to hold this up for you in a second so you can see it. That's really all you're doing, is just laying your strips down. Do not worry about them overlapping. They're going to overlap. I'm putting this piece right over the ones I already put on because I had to cover that space on the end here. And it is going to dry clear. Kind of neat doing a little bit of painting as opposed to, I'm trying to hold this up for you so you can see. It looks kind of messy and not so pretty now, but once it dries, I have a couple little pieces coming off, but not bad. Not as bad as that other thin stuff. This stuff was awesome. This was really nice and thick. keep adding your strips on until your egg is totally covered. And again, this worked out for me because this was an orange egg, and this is sort of like a goldish, orangish tissue paper. I'm trying not to handle it too much because it does stick. A couple more strips here. I mean, once it dries, it'll look a lot better. It looks a little bit messy now, but once it dries, these worked really well. I like that tissue paper, but I can't do the whole thing in that. I need some different colors here. Oops, sticky. Yes, it's messy. Be prepared to be messy, ladies. I might even do 2 layers of this. There's only one over here. And this tissue paper is so cheap, you know, doing an extra layer, you know, isn't going to cost you a lot of money. This piece just came right off on my finger. You can see I'm kind of going over what I already did, just because I wanted to put 2 layers on there. You don't have to. But I think what I'm going to do is put another layer over and not really press it. I mean, I'm pressing it down, but I feel like the more I handle it right now when it's still wet, the more likelihood it's going to come off on my fingers. And I don't want it to do that. So I'm kind of covering up what I already did because some of the pieces were still coming off with this tissue paper. So I'm just lightly covering it with another layer. And then once it dries a little bit more and it's easier for me to handle, I'll come back, and if I need to put another layer of Mod Podge on, I will, just to make sure that it's stuck on there really well. But I find that, let me put it to you this way. If you have your strip laid down, okay, and you're spreading your Mod Podge on, you've really only got the Mod Podge on one side, okay? It's on the side that you're laying down. It's underneath. I think the problem starts, and it starts coming off on your fingers when you're doing this, and you're going around the top of it, because then once you go around the top of it and then you try to touch it with your fingers, it's going to come off on your fingers. So just be careful when you're doing that. Try not to touch the part that you just brushed on the outside. It's really not that difficult. It's just kind of like wallpaper. Like, if you remember wallpaper in the old days, you're just wallpapering an egg. That's all you're doing. But you don't have to get it totally flat. I'm sorry, I'm going off camera here. I'm going to put one more piece over there because that looks a little bit wonky on that side. A little bit wonky over there. So again, I think it's best to lay your strip down, paint a thin layer on, and then lay it down. Because there's no Mod Podge on the outside of this piece that you just laid down, your hands aren't going to stick to it as much. Does that make sense? If it's really sticky on the outside, your fingers are going to want to try to grab that. It's going to come off. I think that's the better way to do it. So this was coming off a little bit on my fingers. Not as bad as that other one, but a little bit. I'm going to put one more strip right there just because I'm crazy that way. This one's a little bit too wide. I don't need that much. You'll get the hang of it, ladies. Let me look at this and see. It really did come out nice. I like this paper. I'm just going to put one more piece right here. But the whole tutorial here just doing one egg, but I wanted to give you the idea of the best way to do this. Again, I might still try that other Michaels tissue. I might double them up. Like I said, do 2 strips at once instead of just one. And I think maybe that might give it a little bit of more strength. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'll Mod Podge 2 pieces, 2 strips together, and then I'll put it on the egg because I really want to use that tissue paper. I like it. But that's it. I'm not going to do any more with this one. And again, you're going to see that, you know, it's not going to look like identical to the pattern on here because you're doing strips. So, but it still looks really pretty. Once it dries, I don't know if you can really see that. It's so bright in here. Once it dries, it'll look a lot better. But the idea here isn't to get like a solid, perfect pattern. You're really looking more for color. So there's that one. Oh, just got something stuck on that. It's gonna set it on your parchment paper to dry overnight, although these didn't really take that long to dry at all. These came out really nice, actually. This was 2 layers. And my hands are very sticky. I'm gonna stop for now. Please let me know if you have any questions. Again, practice with it a little bit. These plastic eggs aren't expensive. The tissue paper is not expensive. Again, like I said, with this thinner tissue paper, it's easier to lay your strip down, Mod Podge the one side of it, and then lay it on your eggs. So it just seems like if you get a lot of glue on your fingers, it's going to stick to your tissue paper and your tissue paper is going to come off. So do it like I said, lay it down, then Mod Podge your strip, lay it on your egg. Try to keep that strip that you're laying down on the top dry, so it doesn't come off on your fingers. So it's a little bit of a messy job, but when you make your beautiful tree and you get done with your eggs, it'll all be worth it. But I can't even really stop this because my hands are so sticky. Let me see if I can do this without making a mess. All right, guys, I'll post this soon. Thank you.